Child, I will always be. Mother, carry me back to the sea. We lost another great activist today. Johnny has finally lost his battle and passed away. For those who don't know, many of us that are out on the front line, most of us keep themselves to ourselves. Not everybody comes and talks on Crackbook. So just lots of love and respect to Julia and all of the Wales XR team and Wake Up team and Red X team. It's going to hit us hard, this one, guys. It's going to hit us hard. Johnny's been around for years and years and years and years and years, standing up for us all. And today he lost the battle. So rest in peace, Johnny. May you cross over to the other side. And may Julia have the strength to carry on. It's been a bit of a week of crazy, strange things. I can't really talk about my son's best friend and the young lad that I've known since he's 3, but he come out of hospital potentially today. So obviously we've had this week as well. Father's Day. I know Father's Day hit a lot of people really hard, and we spent the day on the phone to Dean, convincing him to take a massive big leap of faith and go to Spain and see if he can rectify his DJ and dancing and MC career over in Ibiza at Cafe de Mar, and he's gone to see if he can pull that out. He's literally got no money left. He's got himself there and he's on foot, literally now getting from Mallorca over to Ibiza to see if he can play live for 3 hours and see if he can get his career back after the smash of social 3 times in the last 3 years. Yesterday I was cleared of another Section 17. So that is the 3rd Section 17 they have done. In fact, it seems to be the same year. Funny that it's the same time every time after D-Day, or when we've got a big event here in Portsmouth, when things are on my front door. So literally yesterday, the social worker rang me and said that they've done their report, they've done all of their stuff, and they don't believe that there's any reason to intervene on me, other than to offer to pay for a double buggy and some rains. And today I have invested in a car. I've left myself with about 40 quid, so a tenner a week. But also I do this little silly run thing where I'm trying to break out of something and I can't quite suss out where this route is within myself, because at the end of the day, it's only when we change our perception from internal do we change our perception external. And I've got this thing that I can't quite break through, and it's gnawing at me and it's doing my head in, and it's to do with money and it's to do with needs and wants. And I find it really difficult because if you've ever lived on the streets, and not many people know my homeless story after Aaron and Faith were taken because I kept it quite quiet, not many people realised that I was actually booted out of Save the Family after they took my kids, and stayed with Jason for a bit, but they kept hounding him. So I was going every other weekend when his kids were there to my friend Monique's, who were then having to hide me there because she had children. And social literally came at me from every angle after my kids were taken to make sure that the whole fucking world wanted to sort of crush me at some point. I mean, at one point, they could have easily have got hold of me. I'm the most public person in that sort of area to sort of go, hey Kelly, we want to talk to you, we need to serve you. You know, they went to Jason's ex-wife, they went to his mums and dad's sisters, everything. So, you know, come on, I mean, he was hounded for ages. Like, I was literally pulling boxes of like suitcases of paperwork and train hopping from Manchester to Liverpool to London to Preston to backwards and forwards. But I was like sleeping on double-decker buses and sleeping on the train and sleeping at train stations. It was quite funny actually, because I ended up playing hockey sack football with who was it, Coldplay at the train station one night. It was quite funny. I can't think if that was that chapter or a different chapter, but it was quite an interesting night. Eating out of homeless kitchens, went into a hostel at one point. So well, that was the most amazing experience actually, because I think it was when we were in Bristol when Dean got arrested, and I was about 2 or 3 months pregnant, and I was really, 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 really ill, and everybody was telling me I've got to come into a hostel, and I was sleeping outside the prison in the car, and I was saying, no, I'm not leaving Dean. It's as simple as that. If you keep him in there, then I stay on the other side of the wall. And I literally slept outside the back of Bristol prison for the whole sort of 6 weeks that Dean was detained. But I got taken into a hostel for a couple of nights. And to actually go into a room, now imagine being a middle-class suburban woman, right, who goes and gets her nails done and tints her eyelashes and makes sure every morning when she's shit showered and shaved that, you know, her makeup and her foundation is completely blended in properly, and or never not doesn't have, you know, lip gloss on, and you know, probably paid £110 for a pair of jeans and about 300 quid for a top. A pair of knickers probably cost more than somebody's weekly shop. So, I mean, there's a very, very interesting video with Victoria Beckham, actually, and it's the same principle. And on this documentary, Victoria Beckham went from being the posh spice that we know and being quite bitchy and quite arsey with people, getting them to carry her suitcases and being very, I'm a celebrity and, you know, you carry my cases and you're a servant to me, to, as the documentary went on and she was meeting more and more children that were having to go into the soils and dig for all the recycling to take back and making money. And she's doing this, and she's eventually gone from being an observer to, I can't let these kids do it, I've got to give them a hand, to going a little bit further. So when you actually see her return, she's a totally different person. And her whole attitude to how she treats people and how she was grounded just changed. And walking into a room in a hostel where you've got, now let me do this in quite a broad statement, you've got the alcoholic and the smackhead in that room with you, and you've got your bags and your belongings, everything that you've got left in the entire world, probably your identification, if you're lucky to still have your identification if you're living on the streets. If you're living on the streets, the chances are you've probably lost it. There's no way you can keep a mobile phone going for long. You certainly can't keep borrowing and charging up and finding places to keep it. Apart from BT now, to all people out on the streets, by the way, find a BT hub. You can use my password if you want. But like, you know, you can charge your phones up at a BT hub. And if you do need internet, like, let's see if we can sort of build a way of everybody being able to access, you know, being online, because you can't do a lot these days if you're not plugged into the system, if so say. So take, for example, it's probably going to be a tangent chat, you know what I'm like. Take, for instance, I bought a car today. I've actually not got the registration document at the bottom of it because he was going to buy it, but he couldn't afford to insure it. So he sold it, and I've managed to get a really fucking amazing bargain for about 375 quid. And this car is an absolute diamond in the rough. And it's only because the front of the bonnet and everything's been redone, so it's a different colour to the car, so he just didn't think it would sell, so he's put it right down. And unfortunately he's going for a separation, unfortunately he's a father who's been alienated, and unfortunately there's a bit of a dodgy deal within the car, but I've ended up with a bit of a blessing, so be it. But I have to register that car. The moment I register that car, I'm registering it so one, the car is identifiable on the streets. So there's a good policy for registering the car. It's the same as having a human being in the planet. There has to be some form of registration. Otherwise, it comes from a negative again. But someone dies, you don't know who they are. You know, fingerprints is handy to have. Technology has so many positives, but polarity exists with everything, and this is the problem. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with, whether it be technology, whether it be money, whether it be food, your products, your character, your personality. For everything that exists, there is an opposite. There is a polarity that exists. The same with diagnosis. There's a spectrum with everything. It's like that. The Lord said, I can't think what the quote is. In fact, Anne-Marie's here, so she's probably able to help me out with it. Narrow is the gate. Oh shoot, what's the saying? If Anne-Marie knows it, can remember it, I'd love to remember right now. But narrow is the gate, wide is the something. So somebody remind me. And life really is like that. And it's like, you're fat, you're thin. Okay, well, what's your concept of fat? Because I've been everything from a size 18 to a size 8. And I literally have. I have yo-yoed. I have had such issues with self-worth and self-love and self-respect for years and years and years and years, that my physical body has directly represented how I felt about myself. And I've gone everything from completely emancipated to art to, and I've got photographs I can show you. It's all going to be in the book on the timeline anyway. So I've gone from completely sort of emancipated with and not eating at all, to completely going the opposite way and loving my ice cream, chocolates, crisps and everything else that gives me love, gives me some form of satisfaction, but ultimately destroys me as an individual on the outside. So I can say to fat people, it's fucking horrible in there, isn't it? Don't your fucking legs chafe? It annoys you, and when you're trying to sleep at night, it's bloody annoying. And sometimes your stomach gets really annoying, and bras are really freaking annoying. And running around after the kids in the park is really annoying. Going to the shops is really annoying. But controlling what you put into your body is also really annoying. And living in a diet zone is really annoying. And living constantly limiting yourself from the blessings that you deserve is really frustrating to the Lord himself and also to you. And I'm not very good at receiving, and I'm not very good for asking for help. In fact, I don't ask for help. I'm one of them people that if you're pissing me off in this house, I don't come directly to you and say, you're pissing me off in this house and this is the reason why. I'm one of them ones that starts bouncing around the house, and I will talk indirectly to you until eventually you probably walk out and slam the door on me. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that I work on every day. I work on my communication and my emotional intelligence every day. Not because I'm in a battle with any of you out there, but because I'm in a constant battle with myself. The only person who gets in my own way is me. I am 100% responsible for every action and reaction that goes on in my life. And it's a really, really difficult concept to come together on, because there's so many different rule books or ways you should do things or ways that you can build things up. Like, I avoid any person who mentions the word pride in front of me. If you mention the fucking word pride in front of me, I will Humpty Dumpty and spin you away from me immediately. Because with pride came a great fall, and pride is the hardest sin to beat. And funny that I should be talking about this now, because this weekend is Pride Festival again. And I'm going to go here. I am finally going to go here, because enough is enough is enough. And I have an opportunity to take the mic in Portsmouth, by the way, at the Pride Festival. And I have a car, and I can keep my kids in a car this time. Okay, it's not a van, but I could really easily rig that car up to hook a mic onto the top of the mic and go boom really quickly. So if anyone who wants to help me try and pull that off this weekend, that'd be great. But I do know somebody who's performing who's willing to hand me the mic, and oops, I've dropped the mic if I want to take it. I am asking and calling all Red X's to attend the event. Now, it's going to be a bit difficult for me because I'm so controversial that with the gay community, somebody like me is likely to get launched, and they wouldn't actually give a shit if my kids were there. Some of them don't have any morals or manners about them whatsoever. As I have always said, I'm not anti-gay. I am not anti what anybody chooses to do with their own lives, as long as they are not abusing a child who has no control over what's going on, or any person who's trying to get out of a situation and doesn't know how to do so. But if somebody chooses to do something with their own lives, be it not have a monogamous relationship, or cheat on somebody, or have extramarital sex, or choose to have sex with somebody in this, the same. I'm really uncomfortable with this shit, because there is congruency with my attitude to what I feel is going on. And that's because the polarity spectrum of the LGBT community is so wide that there are genuine people who are of the same sex, who are together because they've fallen in love with each other deeply, and society has given them the label lesbian, gay. And there is a very wide, narrow line on whether people believe that we are born with our gender, sex. There are people out there who are standing up for people that I would openly probably say would come under the mental health bracket. And I feel quite comfortable to say that it should potentially come under the mental health bracket. And I feel this is the right thing to say, that transgender, any person that feels that they have been placed within the wrong body, should be given fucking intensive psychotherapy, dynamic sort of work, before anybody is ever thinking about chopping anything off or changing anybody's external physical body to suit this change. Because I've been involved with situations within this community where 2 children have come back. One has ended up being a forced adoption, and the other one ended up being placed with the grandmother. One has come back changed, the other has remained the same. The one that went to the grandmother was female, the one that was forced adopted was male. Once I got to the root of the reason why, was because he thought that if he had been a girl, then he might have got to stay with his nan. So he's tried to be a girl all of his life, to try to be back with his family, because he felt that it was because he was a boy that he was forced adopted. Hence why he felt confusion. But he's already started all of the process and is now confused again. So there is an agenda out there that is being pushed, and I say pushed, into our education framework system. And the reason that it is coming out is because we as an individual and society, especially us here in the UK, are a diverse, open community. We have the most probable diverse country probably now, in terms to obviously America, that was the happy hopes of a place of dreams. Now it's the UK. But we are open to childminders having white dolls and black dolls and Asian dolls, okay? So we can't exclude any one individual because a Christian necessarily doesn't agree with it, or a governor doesn't agree with it. Everybody has the right to talk about their own personal experiences and not to face bullying. Because at the end of the day, the only reason that most people want to talk about their personal experience is to give understanding, so it can make life easier for other people going through the similar experience. That's pretty much why most people end up in the situation that I am here talking to you about my experience, is because I want to protect other people from having to suffer to the level and severity that my family have done through pure ignorance and sheer apologies and red tape, really, and nobody really having the balls to do anything about it. So do I believe that us as a, so you have to excuse me, I've locked my legs underneath the laptop. Whenever I come in here and I sit down like this, it's so not an EDS place to sit in. So I'm just going to have to try and get my legs out. And I know some of you find it amusing when I'm crawling all over the bloody floor with my little EDS little body. If you had to live in my body, you wouldn't last fucking 7 hours, let alone 7 minutes, let alone 7 fucking days. You'd be screaming to get the fuck out, seriously, especially if it was the first time you had to deal with it. I've had 41 years to get used to it, and I still ain't used to it. And it's really annoying. I've got fat down here as well, and you know I hate smoking on camera, but I'm nicotine mad at the moment, and it's my vice. So anyway, this weekend is the LGBT Awareness Week. And what annoys me is that if I got my tits out on video right now, it would be considered porn. Especially if I was breastfeeding, it would be considered natural, depending to what level I was doing it to. Do you know what I mean? Or what my awareness to my child was. Because then the polarity exists, that it goes from it being natural mother-child feeding to somebody in a moment of child breathes and becomes porn and becomes, do you know what I mean? And then you've got the spectrum again, where a woman can legally actually flash, but a man can't. For a woman, it's just considered, because don't forget, there was the woman with the long blonde hair who rode through London naked, Lady Godiva, and that sort of changed the morality, because they argued that we were born naked. And obviously got people riding through London last week all on their naked bike ride. Too funny. And there is always a polarity. This is why you can't please everybody, and this is why it's so difficult to be a politician, because the politician is trying to please everybody, and there are 9 billion people on this planet, and only 1% of this planet is literally controlled by I am your leader, by the people who control the money. So we are therefore controlled by money, because the only way that you can control the people is to have a tool to control them with, and that control is a piece of paper. I haven't got any to hand, but it's a piece of paper that we are brainwashed as people to get up in the morning, to go to work, to have to pay our bills, or to be obsolete out of society and pushed down to the level that you can't ultimately thrive as a human being. And then you're colonized within an area to make sure it's controlled and governed by the state, to make sure you can't come out of your box. And if you dare come out of your box, all whoops upside the head, mate, and you'll be grand-drawed and labelled, because you're the lower class. And we can't have the 3-tier system being fucked about, because it's that system that's kept stability in our forever growing economy and society for a long time. And if you, as long as you keep the lower class there, they're like to some people, the parasites, but what did I get called? A peasant, darling. I got called peasant at Downing Street one day, darling. I was a peasant. They are literally the breadcrumbers, the runners. They're the ones that keep the dredge of society going. They're the problem of society, and that is it, simple as that. Then obviously you've got the working class, which are the ones who are getting up to keep the grind going. But ultimately, all these people are just making the top people very rich and very, 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 very wealthy. I think even Boris Johnson had whinged that 120,000 a year or something wasn't enough for the particular position. It depends what you believe that you as a human being are worth. Because from what I see with this congruency issue that I've got going on, is that I need a car. My physical body doesn't necessarily work in the same way as people, and when I travel with 2 little children, it's not necessarily convenient because I can't travel with 2 under 2-year-olds. The law don't let me, and sometimes when I'm traveling I have to take car seats, and then I've got to take the buggy, and then I've got to take all the other bits that they need. So for somebody like me, a car becomes a necessity. It doesn't become a want, it becomes a need. But then there's a choice, and there's a choice between top, middle and bottom range of cars. Again, in 5 consecutive colours, guys. What colour would you like? Silver, black, red? Oh, hang on. Are we 3? Blue. And what's the other one? Oh, I don't know, but we can throw a few in. Notice that your options are not as big as you think. And what I'm basically saying is that for such an upside down world right now, and it really is an upside down world, but I'll tell you what, just to throw into the tangent for a bit, I was doing some work on the book of Revelations the other day, and I was really, really, really putting myself, and I have to be careful when I do anything that's visual, because I'm what's called an intercessoral, it comes out wrong when you say it like that, but basically what I think about bring about very, 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 very vivid and very quickly and very clear. So if I dwell on something quite a long time, I have to be very careful because it can take me into horrendous places. And that's a bit why I've gone into the fuck off attitude, because as I was going through it, I was imagining the children uproaring and overriling the parents. And I've seen a film where the children have taken control of an island and they have ostracized the parents. And there's also another film that I used to love as a kid called Prayer the Robo Boys. And at the beginning of that, it's pretty much the kids that are left to deal with the shit that the parents have left behind for the kids to deal with. And in the book of Revelations, it basically says that in the times before that Jesus returns, that the children will have completely overruled, and that the society that we live in is going to be a very, 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 very dark place. And when I look at the world that we live in now in comparison to what we're heading into, I feel very blessed and very grateful that we haven't got to that point yet. There are people who believe that we cannot turn this around. There are people that believe that this car crash is written in the stars and there is nothing that any one of us can do. And anybody like myself, Anne-Marie, or, any other of the Christian warriors that are out there that are, doing our damn best to make sure that the people that hit the bottom of the streets are, getting good food, good knowledge, good understanding, lots of love, lots of care, and helping people find their way back to, their true purpose. What people need to understand is Jesus didn't come for everybody, and the majority of us or of people can go directly to the Lord himself. Jesus came for the broken, the depleted, the people who'd fallen away from the Lord. So he come for the homeless, the beaten, the broken, the people that would turn to social services for help. Whatever your beliefs are in God, Jesus, spirituality, religion, it does matter, of course it does. It doesn't, I can talk it to you in a coaching world, but all of a sudden I'd be called a wolf in sheep's clothing because I'm not recycling. And there's evangelists, there's preachers, there's teachers, there's all these different things, and people get called wolves in sheep's clothing because they're doing something slightly different to what somebody else is doing, and some people, and all this sort of stuff. The war against Christians and pagans. Let me just explain one thing. Every child is born to a mother and a father, okay? It's no different to our creator and our planet, no different whatsoever. The creator, our father, yes, created, he planted that seed and he created, and it is the mother that has nurtured and created, you know, what it has become, and it is the father that's provided, and it is the mother that has continued to nurture. And we, the human beings, the Medaphryites, were born with a penis or a genital, and we're meant to come together 2 by 2 and create family. The dynamics of the UK that we exist under a Henry VIII church. That Henry VIII church governs our entire UK policies and bills. We're not seated under America. We are currently seated with the EU, and we are currently in the United Nations. Our planet, our world, is divided by continents, and it's those continents that ultimately divide us by north, south, east, and west. And then we have the United Nations, which actually doesn't have the full united. So when something first gives birth to an idea, it has to be what it wants to become, and the United Nations haven't fulfilled that prophecy as yet. As you know, that my video was released onto the United Nations website 3 days ago. That changes quite a lot of things because the video has been shown 3 times now in the United Nations, and this time Monique was seated, positioned very well, and that video now has gone onto their website along with Monique's speech, which is 1 hour into the video, and then she plays my video of when I'm reading out my order, but she actually reads something about us carrying on campaigning, and about the system being that flawed that there's no other choice but to, you know, revolt on all of this stuff now. So it's been a strange day. So I said I brought a car, but it turned out today that it is from a father who's been alienated and is in court on Friday, and he was rushing around because he had to get down to the court, and I said, well, actually I live right opposite it. So we've ended up having quite a lengthy chat today, and I'm still looking at this whole situation and looking at the bigger picture of it all and why it's going so wrong. And what I see is that the family dynamics is meant to be dad, mum, and children. It depends whether you're seated in Lord's way, which is the father, is the Godhead, and then the mother, and then the children, where a lot of people will put it the other way around, and they will make the children the priority, and then the partner, and then the mother, or the other 2 around, or mothers will make the children the priority, or fathers will make the children priority, and the whole family dynamics is completely upside down. What I'm struggling to do right now is kaleidoscope all of this. And with Pride being on this weekend, one, why would you want to strut your stuff pridefully? Okay, and this is what I have a bit of an issue with. One, don't forget that I represent Forced Adoption Exposed, and there is a supply and demand within the adoption agency, and the gay community is the demand, and the supply is coming from the foster care stock market, because we don't necessarily have surrogacy or proper class adoption in this country. Some of the ways that it goes on in the States and things like that is it's slightly touch water here. It's a bit different. It's like find a lesbian couple to have a gay couple's child and things like that, and make some rules. So ultimately, now the law has changed with gay marriage. There's a big battle going on with gay adoption, and a lot of the churches are refusing to allow for children to be adopted to gay communities, and they're saying that they don't stand by the legalization of gay marriage, and they don't stand by the legalization of gay adoption either. Is it right for a child to grow up in a same-sex marriage? Now, my cousin showed me a very interesting documentary once. 2 of my cousins are gay, and they said to me, they think that I'm homophobic. My cousin Jamie asked me to sit down and watch this documentary with him, and it showed the complete reverse. So it was a complete gay community with a straight couple trying to fall in love with each other and trying to come out that they were straight. So it was done in the complete reverse. It doesn't matter who somebody is or what somebody is going through, and it's not our place to judge. It's not our place to be the person to point the fingers. And actually, we don't have to understand. We don't even have to like it. The challenge is why people are going through so much bullying. And here lays one of the biggest problems. And it doesn't matter whether it's coming from social services. It doesn't matter whether it's in the gay community. It doesn't matter whether it's in the education system. It doesn't matter whether it's happening on the streets, in the playground, in your own family home, at work. To knowingly interject words onto somebody with the intent to harm them is abusive. To be the sort of person that talks behind somebody's back about somebody that you haven't got the balls to talk to their face about them, to knowingly know that you have said something to somebody that's ultimately led for them to release an emotion of tears or hurt or even get angry, is abusive. And this fine line isn't getting covered. And I think because polarity exists so much in what is considered abusive, and also because we live in such a soft country where we have such zero tolerance to something, yet we soften it out. So take, for example, families who have their children taken off of them because of drug use. Why are they not arrested for drug use in the first place? Because it's illegal. So if social services knowingly know that somebody's taking drugs, so take the drug clinics, for example. If somebody has gone in there and taken drugs, or now there's a fine line between the serving the drugs, the taking the drugs. However, drugs are illegal, simple as that. It doesn't matter whether you're taking it or growing it. The drug is illegal in this country as it stands now. But they're not arrested. So we have such blurred lines here in the UK that we have an opportunity to change this. But what I'm trying to get over to the services, I've got to try and move my legs back, and I'm going to have to smoke some of my nicotine here in a minute. My ankles are doing my nutting and my knees are doing my nutting. I'm so glad to have a car. But I've left myself with like 40 quid, and this is going to be, it sounds really stupid, but I can't move on to the next chapter without a car. And I can't pull off what I need to pull off without getting out and about, and it pisses it down here. And some days you think you can get out and about and then you can't. And also with my body, sometimes I can get all the way down to where I need to get to, and some days I haven't got the energy to get back, or some days, yeah. So anyway, Palaver, the joys of EDS. Okay, I've just twisted my muscle in my leg. Oh, fuck. Shit, the shit you don't see. Right, but what's come apparent, right, in when people talk to me about what they're going through in comparison to somebody talking to a professional, people are obviously a lot more open and honest and transparent with me, but also the opposite way. Sometimes they can be completely concealed because they're worried that they might say something to me that means they're going to judge. I'm going to judge them. I can hand on heart say there is not a judgmental bone in my body. It just does not exist. I always like to think from where somebody else is coming from. And the only reason that I would ever make a judgment of anybody is if I ever felt unsafe. And if I felt that I was unsafe, then I would be looking for safeguarding issues. And then I would be going, okay, well, this person might be a drug user, so therefore I have to take into consideration that they might be a pickpocketer. That doesn't mean all drug users are pickpocketers, and nor should you treat all drug users as pickpocketers. However, if you're a homeless kitchen, you have to realise that there are pickpocketers there, and there will be a pickpocketer there, and it's as simple as that. If you don't want your pockets picked, don't stand in that situation. So you know full well that you leave it. I shouldn't say this either because that's class as safeguarding issues. That you should leave everything into your car, because I've now just got your car broken into. But any valuables you should leave at home when you're working at a homeless kitchen. What I tend to do whenever I'm working at any of the street kitchens, which is near on impossible now I've got the kids, is I used to keep an underbra thing for all my stuff in. And whenever I used to live, it used to be made very clear that you could not get to, where my stuff was. And you do need to think about these things. But anyway, trying to bring it all together. So if you imagine a tree, and this tree is called the family court system. This tree also actually has another tree attached to it, which is the social care system, and you've got the welfare system, and you've got all this, and it's become a forest. And within each tree there are branches, and within each branches there are sub-branches, and with each branch there are leaves attached. Hence why we have a government, and each member of each section oversees that section, and then there are different people that work down to the people that clean the properties, up to the people who sit in the board meetings and make the decisions. What I don't like is people are making decisions that are life-changing decisions for people who are going through trauma. Not all of this trauma is physical, that you can physically see. And we don't live in a society that understands spiritual warfare, that understands the war on the mind, that understands the war on your heart, and that understands the war on family. So it's the war on the father, the mother, and the children, and the whole family dynamics. It doesn't also understand that there is a war between crossing borders, and that the reason that we were all cursed with different languages was so that we couldn't communicate with each other. We were never meant to come together as one massive big world. The internet has opened up a doorway for people to cross over and link and understand people's worlds and dynamics and cultures from a whole different point of view than just the newspaper that we pick up in the morning that reports the bad news, not necessarily the good news, but the bad news. And what opinions that we have of countries and cultures shapes and changes. Whenever we come across something that's new or different, there is a discovery period. And I, for one, have to put my hand up to being racist at points in my life. I don't know whether it necessarily comes under racist or and it's not about judgmental. It's about protecting myself from a whole set of culture that I don't like. And that's what I call the dogs. It's the men that are the dogs. Not all men, but some men are dogs. And there is a set of type of culture that comes with what I call the dogs on the white women. And I don't like this attitude or this culture. So when my Facebook comes in with all of the same names that are coming from this particular world, I find it very difficult to accept gracefully the friends request. And I do challenge and go through this because I know the moment that I accept it, I am getting people who want to get married for a visa. I'm getting people that are asking me that they want to fuck me. I have people who message me, and all you get is likey, and people that are being very smutty and talking in a very disrespectful way, certainly about somebody else's partner, certainly talking to me that way, and certainly that when you introduce yourself to somebody, especially when there is, breakdown in direct communication, to approach somebody straight away telling them you want to fuck them is not necessarily the greatest of communications, and is likely to get you blocked. However, I engage in these communications, even the fraudsters. I have lovely conversations with the fraudsters, and we usually come up with a different product by the end of it. But we do have to sometimes put people in a box. And the only reason that we do this is because we're either trying to fill out a form, budget, and see what category somebody comes undone. And that's pretty much why we sit in boxes, because seriously, I can't sit like this. There's just some things that EDS people just can't do. The other one is, when you lay down on your front, when you used to kid and you used to just sit there and watch telly and lay on your feet. Well, I can't do that because my middle back doesn't raise back up. And I physically have to have somebody grab the back of my belt and pull my hip up, because I get completely locked and I can't quite get the bottom and the top bit of my body working at the same time properly in order for me to be able to yoga. Down dogging and up dogging is completely not a thing because my middle back just goes it's not funny. So this is not the most ideal place for an EDSer to sit. So anyway, I am still in fuck off mode. I am still in my cave. I got my blessing and gift for a rainy day yesterday. I didn't the day before, but I did pretend that it was raining and closed the curtains and shut out the world and completely ignored the world. And it was the last couple of days of non-payday, and it was like, I can't cope. I can't have my kids going out on the park looking at other people at things that they've got in picnic bags that I just can't give my kids at the moment. And it's really horrible if, like, your son wants something that somebody else has got and they want to offer it to you, and you feel like your kids are like going around looking for food at other people's, and it's not even because like even about hunger. It's just that when you've got money, you sort of tend to get those little snacky things and stuff that when you haven't got them to take out with you. Do you know what I mean? And usually I'm quite kitted out with all of the things, but when it's the last few days, it gets a little bit free for all days. You've got to go out and make it happen. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, this budget is really shit. I can't live on this budget. I don't know how people do it. Like, seriously, like I don't even get enough for one flight for a month to Trinidad. I'm not saying that benefits should be paid for to go to Trinidad. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a whole world out here that exists beyond the low level of budget that the benefit system blesses people with. And it is a blessing. We should be very, 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 very grateful in this country. Like, internally grateful, because if you have a look at other countries, they don't have this system. We are probably one of the main countries that has the welfare system, to the way that it is at the moment. Yes, it's drowning our country. Yes, it is the backbone problem of our country. Yes, it is what is killing our country. Yes, the working class are working their asses off to go to work to pay to support people on benefits. Yes, it is. If you have a look at all of the budgets, housing benefit is the biggest budget per council. So the biggest amount of money is going to pay for housing benefit. In fact, housing benefit payments to people takes away pretty much most of the social care budget, and benefits, okay, is also the biggest drain here in the country. To cut our welfare system would release us out of much financial hardship. It would be like owning McDonald's and having your staff members sitting down at the tables asking the people who are working behind the counters to bring you a McDonald's, but you're not willing to go and serve other people. But there are people willing to go and serve other people and sit down and have a burger and do so because they've served somebody else and they can sit down and have a meal to themselves. But then there's the people who sit down at the table and want to be served by everybody else and don't want to serve other people. And it's a really fine line, and it's very difficult for any person who works for the welfare system to say the right thing. Because I once said on TV that Stephen Hawking is the most disabled man, but when you have an enablement mentality, he's able to achieve anything. When you have a disabled mentality, then he wouldn't have achieved anything. And that if we had the same attitude here in our system, that there is so many more people that have so much more to give, that if they were enabled, they would be able to serve in the way that they need to. But because we have this disabled mentality, that there are people with gifts and talents that are going to die without ever unleashing them. And that's a really sad place to be in, to come into this world and never live to your full potential, to never ever fulfill your path here, to never fully achieve all of the things that, and I know things, but you were given gifts, and your gifts are to give it away to the world and to be the shining light and example of what the Lord created, this beautiful world. It is a beautiful world, but we give so much attention to what's wrong with the world that we barely ever see the beauty in it, because we're so focused, especially if you're somebody out there helping out on a daily basis, and you're having to live for those little tiny moments, and sometimes you're not actually really helping people, you're actually just putting plasters on gangrene, plasters on gangrene, plasters on gangrene, and eventually it has to be amputated. And I don't like a lot of homeless kitchens, by the way, which is why we started the pop-up ones for Christmas, because they have to come in at crisis periods to sustain places like that. It's like food banks. To sustain things like that when there isn't a genuine crisis just keeps plasters on wounds. And people become dependent on these services and have codependency and become reliant on these services, and it becomes part of their lifestyle rather than a crisis supply. So when Dean and I do what we do with the homeless, we come out in a source of full-blown, sort of crisis with prevention, and we get involved with all the medical people coming in, blah, 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 blah. But you can't ever create sort of like codependent relationships when you're working, but when you're serving other people, it can become quite a deathly situation to get into. So, and that's one of the challenges I have as well, because when I say to people, I'm not your friend, I'm not. And I'm not your brother from another mother. And yes, we're brothers and sisters in Christ if you want to go down the ancestral road. But I have a responsibility and duty to my husband, and my children, and to my family and my community, and their hereafter. And to have those boundaries is perfectly acceptable. In fact, to not have them boundaries would be unhealthy. And if you don't have them boundaries, therefore you're going to end up under the mental health bracket, because you're going to end up frustrated, depleted, angry, annoyed, and ultimately plummeting in depression. Because one of the things with mental health is that people don't have healthy boundaries for themselves, and they end up either having their kindness taken for weakness and becoming taken the piss out of, and then get bullied, and that can cause, you know, anxiety and issues. Or no, I've just lost me now. But yeah, or, you know, anyway, blah blah blah, you get me. Don't forget, I don't always come on these lives to talk to anybody. I come on these lives to sometimes process what's going on in my own mind, in my own head. And I find speaking out very, very, very powerful, because sometimes it can be really difficult, because we can walk around a lot of the time up in our head, processing things, thinking about things. And it's not really often do we ever really get the full-blown time to sit down with somebody and completely just offload everything that we're thinking about or processing or wondering about. And even if you go to the doctors, you get like 5 minutes. And people work, they have jobs, and if you're in a bar, you don't necessarily want to have those sort of communications. So I find Crack Book like a bit of a therapy tool, really, because it's my way of continually talking and getting everything out. And sometimes, and some people pull me up on the most silliest little things, like I might say something, and don't forget I'm free falling. I'm not talking to you from a script. Most speakers, and I am a speaker, I'm an evangelist, but I'm a speaker. So most speakers will have a script, and they'll read from a script. You'll get a 40-minute script. It's the same script that they're going to read at the next place and the next place. And 100% free fall speaker. So I'm the same with dancing and choreography and all that sort of stuff. I find being choreographed very unnatural and very different and wrong. It's like an exam. It's a bit crazy. Let me free fall and it's fine. So as an Aspie, whatever label you want to give it, I find it easy sometimes talking, and because it's very difficult to put a title to what I'm talking about, because I talk about a range of different things, because it's a multi-agency at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a homeless point of view, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a drug and alcohol point of view, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a domestic violence point of view, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a disability point of view, learning difficulties, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. It all comes under multi-agency. Each one person is only employed to do one job, and I'm having to look at something that is potentially the jobs of, well, the chair, the subscriber, the police angle, social service angle, probation angle, housing angle, doodah angle, it's on and on and on. So when you've got somebody like me, and this is why you've got to bear with me sometimes, because you're asking quite a lot of me, do you know what I mean? And it's very draining, it's very tiring. I get trolled a lot, I get picked on a lot, I get pushed a lot. I get a lot of people needing my time, a lot of people needing me to be places. A lot of people think I do stuff that I don't do. A lot of people have got their own opinions of what I do or what I don't do. A lot of people have got different reasons for why they want to connect and why they don't want to connect. Some people are just vampires, and some people are cheerleaders. Some people get something from it, or some people are part of the network that's grown since 2010 or 2012, and we're all still sticking together and keeping together, and we're not just one individual. Me sitting here speaking to you is not just one individual as part of this. Like, there's every person, from the people who sit and run the articles and do the research, to the people doing kitchens, to the people helping out in different ways. And we're all part of the same team, moving this mission further in the same direction, but we've all got different roles and different places within it. You know, you often see me popping up at different places, or you know, like say Jake as well. You know, Jake came down to Manchester Homeless Kitchen with me, and we spent my birthday down there. Now look what Jake's gone on and sort of created, and how the networks have all come together. Do you know what I mean? So, and then, but that kitchen came out of what Dean created in London, and then that's come out of this, and you know, it was the homeless kitchens that were the original Yellow Jackets. So because it all goes off, you know, it goes off in the EU, United Nations, you know. there is a breakdown in language barriers and communications, but a lot of people speak English. We as the English people don't necessarily speak a lot of languages, but the foreign community tend to all speak English. Our Queen pretty much governs, I think was it now 18 states, 15 states or something like that. So yeah, I feel like I've just got out of my head. So Crackbook, what's on my mind? You have just got what's been on my mind for the day. Let me use this example. I had one of the lads that works over at the park come and tell me that if my kids are in the park, I've got to be in the park. And I was stood at the gate with my hand on it. So I've put my feet on the inside of the park. What they meant is I had to come and sit in the park. I didn't. I was technically on the park. So I put my feet on the park. But I was trying to wait for somebody. So I sort the car out and my kids had ran on the park. Rules and regulations, some people say, are there to be broken. Rules and regulations, some people say, are there to keep your home in order. Rules are to be broken. Rules are to be followed. Rules to be broken. Rules to be followed. How do we know if somebody is making decisions on our behalf, is making them on our best intentions? And how can somebody make decisions on our behalf if they don't understand the decisions that we are trying to make? And if we, the people, don't get involved in what is going on in Parliament, and if we, the people, don't get involved in the political of the 4 people that are currently running as Prime Minister for this country right now, one of them being Grove, who's admitted to being an ex-coke addict and has been taking kids off of people for being coke addicts and forced adopting them while being a hypocrite taking coke, now wants to be our Prime Minister. But he's learned his ways. But forced adoption and long-term foster care is for life. So we can't have a bunch of hypocrites leading our country. We do need somebody to lead the way, but the person who's meant to be leading the way is meant to be empowering and enabling people, is meant to be motivating our country. I want to come onto my Crackbook and I want to see the leader of our country making me want to get out of bed in the morning and feeling inspired and like I'm wanting to be part of something, and I feel part of my country, and I feel like I want to serve, and I want to wake up to politics and think, what the fuck, seriously, do these people not know what they're talking about? It's a fucking schoolboy bloody doodah. Parties needs to come down. Parliament needs to come down. The Lord once told me that government and the hierarchy will be in place until he decides the day that that changes. He has decided it's now that time to change that, and in 2020 would like to see a restructure and a regeneration of our entire UK monarchy, parliament and government. The only way that can happen is if there is an assembly of people that come together per county, country, and come together to talk about and have a referendum with your own community and talk about what problems are going on and what the solutions are and how much that budget is going to be and who is going to take up certain roles, and come together with the settlers and the nomads, because not everybody wants to settle into one place, and you build a lot of traffic from the people who travel. Our Queen is our biggest product that brings the UK a lot of money. If we didn't have the Queen, people won't come to England. England is just an island. People come and travel to England for Big Ben and the Queen, and maybe to see the door of 10 Downing Street. That is what people travel all the way around the world to come to England for, those 3 things, really. And to ride maybe on a red bus and have a photograph outside a red phone box. And what else would you come to England for? I could probably think of a lot of beautiful places here in England, but if you're going to pay that level of money to come all the way over to England, like, what would you come to England to see? Like, that's crazy. But we do have a whole world. We can travel. But the majority of people on benefits, I could hypothesize right here, right now, probably 1, don't have a passport and don't have a driving license. 2 of the most fundamental pieces of document that you will ever need to own that give you your freedom. And if you do not have those 2 pieces of documents, then you're going to struggle through life quite a lot. Those 2 pieces of documents are pathways to lots of different things. Should we necessarily have to pay for documents and pay to be competent to do stuff? That's a different matter. But right now, right here, it's not about conforming to the ways of the world. It's about understanding the ways of the world and how to utilize the tools and still be free while keeping to make sure that your foundations or fundamentals empower you to be able to thrive. And that's what I'm here to ultimately try to achieve myself. I'm not saying try, because I have to. So I've got to break out whatever it is that I'm struggling with. I've got a root that's holding me back and an anchor that's holding me back. I'm in a situation with enough money to live off. What's going on out there is what's going on in here. Here is the spiritual battle. In here, in, you know, everything is, I can talk about this stuff all day, do you know that? But anyway, I've been on over and it's not that reliable. I think that that's the, and that really annoys me. Never fucking underestimate me. If my heart is in something, if my heart knows something is right, there is no backing down, there is no stopping, and there isn't anything in me that will allow for that to happen until it clicks and I get my deja vu moment, and it's been done. I'm just a bit tenacious like that. I'm a bit of a dog with a bone. It's part of being Asperger's. We're like so clear visioned on our end results. Like we'll rhino charge until it's done. So I have been trying to pull back, but one thing that's come back obviously is my roller skates. So I'm thinking maybe to bring that in to the adoption drive, maybe, I don't know. And I think this whole can an EDS person roller skate is a prime example of the narrow-mindedness that people with hidden conditions deal with, and also the narrow-mindedness of everything by the labels. If I said to you that someone's homeless, there becomes a beggar. What did they used to call beggars? Yeah, wasn't it beggars? So if somebody's homeless, then there comes a stereotype to what that person must be like. But every single person in the universe is 3 monthly payments missed away from losing their bought, owned, rented council property. Every single person. So the universal credit gap just comes underneath that, but causes enough damage for people to be facing eviction. And we have to safeguard that. And that's coming in July. So to every single person, every single yellow jacket out there who's a real, true yellow jacket, and I don't mean the people that are out there rah-rah-rah-ing saying, I'm a yellow jacket. I'm talking the people that are out there who are pulling in the emergency crews, who are helping people pluck their eyebrows, who are helping people get dirt from their nails, who are helping people get a shower, a change of clothes, some food, help with paperwork, who are helping people who can't help themselves at this particular point. That's the true essence of the yellow jackets. The yellow jackets was about service. The yellow jackets was about saying that the police and the council and all of the people and the workers, we're all servants. That's what the yellow jacket stands for. It's not what people are portraying and pushing now. It was about us rolling up our sleeves and joining the workforce to help out with a national crisis that's going on. We are in climate crisis. It's not about money. It's about we are heading very, 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 very fast. We are in the times of the book of Revelations. It is here. It is now. And we have two paths before us, whether we like it or not. And we can bow the knee to our creator, or we can bow the knee to our controller. I bow the knee to my creator. I do not bow the knee to a controller or a dictator or somebody who believes that they are leading my life. And I'm sorry, but Grove or any of these 4 people that are running for Parliament right now, and all of the people that are going into it, it's a fucking joke. And they're making decisions that are affecting my life, and this is not good. And they're making decisions that ultimately are having children taken off of them, and children being forced adopted, and our world being put in a society where the gay pride community are allowed to cavort and strip off and sexualize on the streets. But if a heterosexual couple did that, it would be an arrestable offence. And I don't agree with these canons of squirting cum all over our place. And my friend who's gay walked past me tonight and went, anyway, going off to suck cock. He's probably watching tonight. He loves me. I can take the piss out of him if he likes. And it's like, if I walked down the road and went, anyway, darling, off to suck cock, you know, I would be a raging whore. I've really locked my legs, guys. I've got to find a different way of doing this. I've really locked my ankles and my legs. Sometimes it really annoys me because it's not so much that it hurts. Like, to get my ankle back in now, I've got to like put 2 grating plaques together, and sometimes I just catch the nerve. So hang on, here we go. There, just on the inside of my ankle. There we go. I sometimes just catch
So as it's trying to go back together, because it's sublocks, so my joint's sublocks. So like with that, like the ligament, so it like twists and sublocks. So when you got to try and push it back together, sometimes like pull your shoulder, it's got to pop and lock. And you just sometimes catch a nerve. And if you just catch a nerve, I can send a whole shoot from here in my brain all the way down to my tippy toe. And it's not funny. But anyway, I've got to get off the floor because I can't sit down here for much longer. And it's doing my nutting. And I know people find it fucking funny seeing me crawl all over the floor trying to get up. But this is the joys of EDS. And it's not funny all the time. Seriously. So anyway, come on a bit of a ramble tonight. Covered quite a diverse topic tonight, from pride, LGBT, pride being the hardest sin to beat. With pride comes a great fall. The fact that we come under a multi-agency judgment, being gossip mongers, how we grasp opinions and make judgments on each other, and how fine line is not about how we choose to live. It's about how we choose to deal with the opinions of other people while we're trying to get on with our lives. And that is where I have congruency issues, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I wish you all a really, really good night. It's like 2:30 in the morning. So to you creatives that are going to be writing, drawing or painting right now, have a wonderful evening. As I started in the morning, to Johnny, who passed away, we lost a great activist today. Blessings to your family. Blessings to Julia, who's going to miss you so much. And thank you so much for everything that you and Julia did in carrying the banner in Wales for me, for Aaron and Faith, holding fort literally down at the bottom of the hill where the psychology person lives, and keeping my children's name going, and for picking up the banner for XR, and for keeping Aaron and Faith on the forefront, of your heart, mind and soul. So God rest your soul, Johnny, today. May you cross over well, and to Julia, may she have all of the right support and people around her, and to wish her well. Yeah, to everybody else out there, all is well. I've got bananas. I've got to take a big leap of faith and break through my own challenges with money this week, and start putting a price on my head, which is really difficult to do, because the only time I've ever worked for money is when I've been an escort or a taxi driver. I've worked free my entire life. No, I've worked like little jobs and stuff that I've just used to pay for something else, but I've never actually stepped in and gone, this is my salary, this is how much you pay for me. I get up every day, I come to work, and I do what you need to do. I've had lots of different jobs that have seen me through my education and things like that. But what I tend to do doesn't really involve time to sit and talk about how much they have to pay me to talk about what they want to talk about. You can't say to somebody who's been raped and sexually abused, just 2 seconds, can we just write my invoice down for this time that we've shared? So I've never chose to be paid in that level. And I don't like the way that the therapies work with people through sexual abuse and trauma. I would rather sit on a park for 4 hours on a swing with someone and go for a walk in the woods, than sit in an office and talk about this. You can get so much more. I can sit on the phone for 4 hours with someone and they can get everything out. You can go for 6 weeks every hour, trying to get out not even half of that. A full-blown intensive on the phone for 4 hours, you'd be surprised where you'd be by the end of that 4 hours. So but there isn't any professional that will do that, and to pay for somebody like me for 4 hours, I wouldn't even dare tell you what you'd have to pay. It would play with your mind straight away. So you'd probably not want to justify how do they get paid that amount for what she does, because unless you're sitting down, you probably don't really understand what I do. I'm a root canal. I do the root canals. I'm the one that rips your trauma and helps you deal with the pain and overcome the pain back to your pleasure. which is a very difficult place to go to. So sometimes you just need someone safe to be able to talk about some things that other people might necessarily judge or not be able to cope with that level of trauma. So I'm a bit of a demon hunter. So whatever your demon is, I can already tell what people's demons are quite easy. And in fact, if I'm on a protest, it's a bit different because I can see your demons coming with you. And that's then really difficult because then your demons want to come and play with my angels, and my demons want to go and, you know, try and attack yours. So it can become a bit of a challenge. So obviously there's war going on that you don't see, and until you learn to open this and deal with this, will you ever really truly understand what's all going on, really. So yeah, hope that you all have a really lovely day. Spend some time in nature, spend some time doing some stuff that you love, spend some time doing something that helps you grow, spend some time doing something to help somebody overcome something that they wouldn't necessarily have been able to have achieved by themselves. And yeah, just remember that, like, especially with somebody like me, and there's many people like me, we're really sensitive souls and we take things very personally. You can have an issue with something else around us and we'll still think you've got an issue with us. And we can live very isolated, quite lonely lives because we don't always necessarily know how to deal with people. And we have bad days too. So the campaigners have bad days too. Some days the amount of children being taken and trafficked and having to learn about this and stuff can be too much, and somebody else coming on the streets. And we have a whole governance that does this when we are just the people that are trying to do the best that we can with some challenges that are going on, while also trying to go to work and pay our own bills and deal with our own lives. And within my network, the majority of people don't have childcare issues, unfortunately. Just as I didn't when I was out there with Aaron and Faith, I didn't have my childcare, so I could be where I needed to be. I could train hop from London to Liverpool, but now I've got the boys, I can't do that. But before I go, I am now available. I have a car, it is insured. I can be wherever I need to be. All I say is, if you help me cover the petrol. So it doesn't matter whether you want me to come and sit with you for 3 or 4 hours and get everything off your chest. It doesn't matter whether you want me to read your paperwork and help you try to find. It doesn't matter actually if you want me to maybe even come to court cases or things like that. I do have my children with me. They are with me. But between us, we can sort something out. A meal and a coffee. And that's all I sort of say. I don't have the budget to get to where you need to go to. So what you could maybe do is, if there's a few of you in an area, maybe